Welcome to the Sideload, where the only AI posters we recognize are the ones designed by Alan Iverson. I'm your host, Will Sattelberg. This week, Ben Schoon returns to the show to discuss the Pixel 11 launch, and, despite what was a very boring made by Google, I actually have a lot of thoughts about what Google wants Pixel to become, or what they're trying to position Pixel to really be. And so, I'm excited to work through that with Ben. After that, Ben will give me his thoughts on AI posters, advertisements, and really anything else, AI generated in the world of marketing, as we discuss whether using AI in what would otherwise be cheap and tacky ways can sort of end up saying the same about the product it's selling. All that and more starts right after this message from our sponsor, NordVPN. You're probably already trying your best at online security. You don't repeat passwords, you're careful about where you log into your bank account, and anytime you get a weird email, you are always careful if there's a link involved. But if you aren't browsing the web with a VPN, you're missing out on a crucial layer of protection, and that's where NordVPN comes in. Without NordVPN, your IP address and browsing habits are an open book to your internet service provider and potential bad actors on public Wi-Fi. NordVPN helps fix that by encrypting your internet traffic so what you're doing isn't just floating around the network. With more than 9,000 VPN servers covering more than 188 locations, it's also built to stay fast, so you're not stuck choosing between security and a usable connection. And it comes with features that actually matter day to day. Threat protection helps block malicious sites and trackers, while a built-in kill switch helps prevent accidental leaks if your VPN connection drops. If you want to stop risking your data on public Wi-Fi, and trust me, you do, you can save 76% on a 2-year subscription, plus score 4 additional months for free just by going to nordvpn.com/9to5off and signing up for a 2-year subscription. That's nordvpn.com/9to5off to claim this offer. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this show. Well, it wouldn't be a Pixel launch season if we did not have 9to5 Google's very own Ben Schoon on to talk about it, because that was our first episode last year, and so kind of a full circle sort of thing. You're back, Ben.
I'm back.
Certainly no stranger to this program, but I'm happy to have you back. Last year we talked a lot about the Jimmy Fallon hosted Pixel 10 launch event. We did kind of a deep dive as the pilot to this show, and I don't regret that at all, because I think that was a really interesting show to discuss. I don't think that's true this year. If you want some extended thoughts on the Trevor Noah show itself, and you have not listened to last week's Pixelated, definitely go do that, and also sign up for Pixelated Pro, because we went even further into it in the post show and the bonus episode. But I just don't think there's enough there to sustain an entire additional conversation. So instead,
No.
Ben, sort of honestly inspired a little bit by that Pixelated episode from last week, I wanted to have you on to talk about what Google's vision of Pixel is building into, and where we see this smartphone series going, because I think it's at a weird inflection point, and I think you kind of feel the same. And then later on in the show, I want to talk a little bit about something you and I have been going back and forth for a minute now, which is AI posters, AI menu photos, AI promotional material that we think is perhaps not doing a great service to whatever it's promoting.
Yeah. We'll get
You
into
have thoughts.
that.
You have a lot.
I have a lot of thoughts.
But we'll start with Pixel. I mean, let's rip the Band-Aid off with your first impression. How do you feel about the Pixel 11 series? Now that we are almost a week removed.
I still think that for the fans, this is inherently unexciting, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a problem with having a year that is we already had the TikTok cycle of 1 year is exciting, 1 year is refinement. This is just adding another year of refinement, and I think that's fine, especially now and as mature as the smartphone world is. But it is kind of feeling is Google out of ideas, or are we just waiting one more year to see what's new? Um, I don't know where they go from here, to be honest. Because I feel like this is as good as it gets. There's nothing I want to change.
There are things I would change. I
True.
think, I guess my issue with the refinement thing is that there aren't a lot of hardware refinements this year. Honestly, it is a little bit more of a, I guess they slimmed the Pixel 11 camera bar down if you get the base
Mm.
model, and
The Fold got
there's
some
there's the,
changes.
yeah, the Fold has some changes, but that's kind of its own thing. Yeah, the matte black Pixel 11 Pro maybe is a, as a recognition that they they now know people want
Yeah,
matte phones, I guess.
I
But
do think it's wild
yeah,
that they just didn't do that across the board.
dude, I don't get it. Because look, I have my review unit, and like I'm not gonna dive deep. We can't, as we're recording and as this episode will
Or
come out.
maybe
We
we
cannot.
can. No one knows what the
Well,
embargo is
maybe
this year.
we
Just
can, but
fully
we'll
out
leave
there.
it.
Like
We'll leave
everyone's
that there.
confused about this.
Yeah, who knows? Um, but no, I have the what's the actual color? Canyon, right?
Canyon.
I got so
I
married
also
to
have
the
that.
the leaked Dune name that
I liked the Dune
it was
name.
so much better. I mean, but then again, as I often get played, I thought the leaked renders looked better than it does in real life. It doesn't look bad, but
Mhm.
I thought it looked better.
It looks
Um,
subtler in real life.
it's duller. It's like, oh, this is just like a salmon. You know what I mean? It's a coral. We've seen it,
Yeah.
you know.
I still think it looks good.
It
I
looks
like it.
good, but this is not a. I don't think I'm breaking any embargo by saying the frame around it is very shiny and very susceptible to smudges and
Oh yeah.
hand prints, as all of the Pixel 9 and 10 Pros have been. And yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. And I'd also like it to be thinner and lighter, for whatever that's worth. That's really my big, like, if you ask me to change one thing about these phones, it is just that every time I pick up this XL, I'm like, this is a weapon. Like, I could hit someone in the head with this. Um honestly, like,
Yeah.
it's just, and this is my first XL since the 8 Pro, which I'm going to retroactively call an XL. And so I haven't been used to the weight. Like, honest to God, it really has taken a little bit of getting used to again. And anytime, even just picking up the Pixel 10, which is not a light phone, but in comparison, every time I'm like, this is easier to handle. But
Mhm.
that's neither here nor there. I kind of wanted to talk about, like, big picture thoughts for the Pixel series, because it has become clear to me that, like, Google sees the Pixel as their route to developing what all of these AI companies want, which is some kind of AI centric device, regardless of whether it is technically a smartphone or not. I think a lot of these companies, your OpenAI's, and so on, have been trying to, and maybe some of the startups like Rabbit, or Humane, have been trying, like, very specifically to push back on the idea of making it a more AI centric phone, because that's not going to feel fresh enough to people. That does not seem to be Google's plan here. I feel like Google is aware that the fact that they have a phone business and they have an AI business means that they can combine the two and make a peanut butter and jelly type situation. At least that's their goal. I'm
Mhm.
curious how you see the next. Is that how you feel about Pixel at this point? Do you think we are going to I see some surprisingly big changes coming in the next few years, or do you think it is more of just a, like, every feature is Gemini, whether you want it to be or not, and that's kind of the AI vision for Pixel?
It's in such a weird spot because, like, Google's presentation was, I think, as you guys were talking about and Pixelated as well, was, um, their whole pitch for this phone just kept going back and forth between use your phone less and
Yeah,
it does AI, or it's good at taking pictures and here's a Gemini feature. It was just like
yeah.
there was so much back and forth, and, like, I don't know if they know what they want from the future, or they are just finally, maybe being the one company to recognize that, hey, maybe not everything needs to be AI. That would be crazy if that was actually what was
I
happening.
I think it's more that they're recognizing that there is a large group of a vocal minority, at the very least. It's tough for me to say
Mhm.
what part of the culture is pro versus anti AI, because I there's also obviously lots of nuance to it. I'm sure
Oh,
that there
yeah.
are people who are fairly anti-AI, but also use it quite a bit, whether they are, have to for their job or they have
Mhm.
found their own use cases for like specific LLMs, whatever.
Or the ones we'll talk about later.
Yeah, yeah, the ones we'll talk about later. Um, but I don't think it's a secret that there are people who see AI things and push back immediately,
Yeah.
and in a way, Google is using that as an opportunity to be like, well, okay, we'll just chase the digital minimalist crowd that you know certain companies, we've had Light on the last episode, things like that have sort of chased. Um, but yeah, I feel like they want this to be AI optional is not the right word, but clearly they're trying to think of something that can appeal to somebody who doesn't care about AI. And
Mhm.
yet everything, even something like Highlight, which in their marketing, they really centered around this like digital well-being disconnect sort of energy, like your phone is not you sort of attitude, ends with being like it syncs with Gemini.
Yep.
Like, it's half of the feature set is it syncs with Gemini.
Mhm.
So, it's tricky.
Yeah, I don't know, it's hard to know what the direction is gonna be going forward. I think more Gemini is inevitable. Um, I don't see how that influences the hardware going forward. Like, I think Highlight was probably the extent
Yeah.
of that. Um, I would say it'll probably affect the internals more, because 'cause they're going to need to start working on they're gonna need to continue working on Tensor being stronger for AI. They're gonna have to figure out a way around the RAM issue. Ha Having the downgrade this year is still so weird with the AI focus, um,
Yeah.
though understandable. And they also just need to honestly, and for that to work, for a phone that's, like, so focused around AI tasks to work, it also just needs to be, like, really good on the fundamentals, even more so than just a normal phone needs to be.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
the things that everyone's been yelling about, bigger batteries being the top of the one that I saw, when we did, like, a commentary on this, in a
Yeah.
newsletter recently, um, just that needs to be a thing as soon as possible. Because AI tasks do drain the battery quickly, especially if you're doing, like, voice things all the time, like, Gboard Rambler, even though I know it's mainly in the cloud, that's definitely going to cut down on the battery life significantly compared to normal voice to text, I think.
Well, and just in general, like Google wants you using Gemini all the time, basically. You
Yeah,
know what I
and,
mean?
like
So for that to happen, you're gonna have to, and like they want it paired with your smartwatch that you're buying, and they're gonna want it paired with the smart glasses you're buying. And so like I agree with you. Like
mhm,
to power this ecosystem that they want to build in this like future of just constantly talking to Gemini, which whether or not we think is going to come to pass, that's the future they're pitching. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they have much like Samsung, like completely ignored battery complaints for way too long.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's and yeah, we'll get into that, when the reviews come around, but, spoiler, it's not looking good. Um,
Well, yeah, listen, up or down depending on which phone you have, and we'll leave it at that.
yes, yes.
When is that not true? Um, yeah, it's tricky, right? Because you watch that conference with Trevor Noah, and you do get the idea that this is like not a project that is like fully finished. That like if you were to talk to people internally at Google, they would be like, "No, we see Pixel as like an ever evolving like story that is far from like the final form we want it to be in." And but yet because it is becoming a product they are really trying to pitch to like normal people, it also kind of has to paint itself as finished of a story as like the iPhone, which I think is just because of its having a decade longer on the market, and being a lot less slow to change. It has a little bit more of a like feature complete story to pitch users, and a more well-known story, right? Like everybody kind of
Yeah.
knows what the iPhone experience is going to be, whether or not you want it whether or not it fits your life or not. But like that is not true for the Pixel. Like there are a lot of people who, when they think of Android, they think of Samsung, and they do not know what the Pixel experience is like.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. Yeah, I think Google, for the general public, doesn't have as much of a clear story, whereas they did when they started. Like, it was clearly the camera. Now it's just,
Well, it's AI assistant. It's the phone that is your assistant.
but is that what the normal person is saying, or are they just saying, "Ooh, it's a Google phone"?
That's what the marketing is saying. I
Yeah.
agree with you that when I talk to regular people in the late 2010s, what they knew about Pixel was that it had a really good camera. To the point where like people would see that I had a Pixel and be like, "Oh, can
Take
you
the
take the
picture.
group
Yeah.
photo? Yeah, can we use your phone to take the group photo?" That happened, which that doesn't happen anymore, but it
Mhm.
did. Um, and maybe it will with camera looks back, but it certainly has not happened in a while, right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think they've built this to be this story of a phone that wants to be your assistant, but I also think that has its own complications because as we were talking about in the pre-show, and again, I don't think this is breaking any kind of embargo. Um, that's not like that requires constant iteration on the
Mhm.
applications you've already built. And I don't think
Yeah.
Google has proven itself for the last, if we want to talk about lessons to be learned from this trio of phones that is supposedly kind of one collection before we move on to whatever is new on the Pixel 12, and God willing, there will be something hardware wise new on the Pixel 12, a new idea that isn't just an RGB light. But yeah, these phones taken together have launched a lot of new features, but have not necessarily iterated and improved on those features over generations. They've been very quick to be like, we need the next group of 5 features for the next Pixel.
Yeah. No, yeah, a lot. Whereas, like, Gemini and stuff is moving very quickly. Like,
Mhm.
Gemini features, I feel like they drop every other week,
Right.
but Pixel features just sit there. They might get a, 6 months later iteration, but that's it.
Sure. But yeah, like
Um,
like screenshots is essentially more or less the same app it was when it launched 2 years ago.
yeah,
It's I'm sure I could find small changes that they've rolled out over updates, but like enough for it to be like a noticeable an improvement on a feature that I thought was not particularly ready to go, like needed some additional time in the oven and some extra thoughts. Like they've made a couple changes to it, but not enough to make me want to like head there for my screenshot browsing as opposed to just opening Google
the
Photos.
Photos app, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't I it's one of those things where I think they're gonna have to think a lot about like how they push out these features because like I think it's already frustrating enough for those in the Pixel ecosystem to look at new hardware and say, well, why is something like camera looks at least at the moment not coming to Pixel 10? You cannot tell me the difference between Tensor G5 and G6 is large enough that the Pixel 10 Pro could not handle it. While at the same time also not improving the features that are on those old phones.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
I
lesson they'll have to
completely
learn
agree.
because it's a lesson. I'm not sure it's a lesson that Apple explicitly learned, but it's certainly one that they've kept up with, right? Like it's not like every tool in on iOS gets improved, but they do seem to at least give a little bit of. In fact, it's very frustrating, and in almost some ways, Google is kind of adapting from this. But like Apple tends to only push out like big improvements to their apps as part of iOS upgrades
Mhm.
once a year. And the big advantage to Google and to Pixel and to Android was that they don't do that. And that is sort of how Google is treating these AI applications is that like if there are going to be big changes, big advancements forward, they will come with a Pixel launch, not just randomly in March.
Yeah, it's the whole pixel drop thing, is a good structure, but it does take a lot of the air out of new hardware launches, especially when it's
Well,
like
and
this year where the hardware launches just aren't that exciting.
a lot of those drops have become we're taking what you have on the Pixel 11 and moving it to the Pixel 10 or so
Yeah.
on and so forth. That's the other issue is that if you're a Pixel user on current hardware, like those drops are cut in half essentially because a lot of times the feature is that thing that was on the hardware we launched last year is coming to the hardware we launched the year before. Where do you want to see Pixel kind of move?
I would really like Google to kind of embrace the inherent advantage it has, which is that it is in the markets that a lot of other Android brands are not,
Yeah.
and like really just turn it on. um, go all in on, go back all in on camera hardware, on throw in bigger batteries.
They're
Like,
doing
don't
better on this.
hold
I
back.
was impressed to see them roll out like some pretty big hardware like sensor changes, especially on the 11, because the
Yeah,
10
but
also had new sensors. I know they were technically like the main sensor was kind of a downgrade, but they're typically so slow on that. I was surprised that they moved to make some improvements.
yeah, I this it has been faster, but I mean, I'm
It's one.
saying
It's a
just like
one-off.
go. I'm also just saying like go all in, throw in,
Yeah,
the full 200 megapixel, whatever, big sensors,
1 inch
everything.
sensor, man. That
Yeah,
somehow that is still an open space in the US. You
yeah,
can still be the first smartphone company to sell a 1 inch camera sensor on a phone here somehow.
yeah, I think that's something that Google should have done already, and
I
I really hope
agree.
they
The
do it
the
next time.
camera bar is thick enough.
Yeah, they have the room for it. I think that that's an obvious place to go. Again, the battery, there's no reason at Google's
No.
scale that they shouldn't be trying new battery stuff. Like silicon carbon, I understand the hesitation. I think that the hesitation has been more valid than I think a lot of other people have given it credit for. But like at Google's scale, the problems with like the cost of silicon carbon and everything, and the potential issues are a lot less of a problem, especially because Google is not like throwing out ultra thin phones or anything. The biggest problem with silicon carbon is that it expands. Google's not making thin phones. Just
No.
make it not a huge cell. It doesn't have to be 7,000 milliamp hour or something. Just throw in a 5500 on the base Pixel 11 or whatever.
Yeah,
That's still going to be
agreed.
more than enough for most people. That's a big upgrade. And you can still make the phone to where that is going to have enough expansion room to where it's still considered safe. I basically, I think there's no reason at Google's scale. They've gotten Pixel to a point where it is big enough, it is reliable enough to where they
Yeah.
know it's going to be around, to where they can actually go and sit down and say, okay, so what are these big things that are not on Samsung phones? And actually then make an impact, especially now that OnePlus is gone. Like
100%.
it's theirs for the taking,
I
and
like
they're just
where okay,
ignoring it.
like if you are an Android fan who is not like built, bought into the Samsung ecosystem, like where are you right now if
Yeah,
you're not on Pixel? If you're on Motorola, I have a strong feeling you are either, and I'm not trying to like this isn't a stigma thing, but like you're either a budget shopper, that's fine, but Motorola makes perfectly good budget phones, or like a flip phone
yeah.
enthusiast, right? Like that's probably, if you're a Motorola customer on a current device, that's probably what you are. Uh if you're a OnePlus customer, you were obviously an enthusiast who held out to the very end. Congratulations. You're now shopping for a new brand. Uh who am I missing in the US?
What's like sad right now is that because of Google kind of holding back a little bit, and then also just the inconsistencies that have been inherent to Pixel throughout its history. Anyone who was on a OnePlus is probably not looking at a Pixel.
No, probably not. They would
Um,
probably move to Samsung.
Anyone who's frustrated with Samsung, which should be a lot of people, uh, they might be looking at a Pixel, but honestly, they're probably just looking at an iPhone at this
iPhone,
point,
yeah. I agree.
because consistency wise and in a lot of ways hardware wise, Apple's kind of pulling ahead.
Mhm.
I I I wish Google would just like sit down and say, we have this opportunity and just throw it all in and see what happens. I don't know if it's going to happen. I kind of doubt that we see huge change, but I hope we see some push going
Uh,
forward, cuz I
yeah.
there's so much good about Pixel, but it feels like it is constantly being held back, and I don't know why.
And it's in 1,000 little ways too.
Yeah,
It's not in like one big easy fix. Like
exactly.
I could sit down and probably start thinking about reasons people wouldn't buy one of these devices, and like the reasons would stretch across practically every category you could think
Yeah.
of, down to like one of the big ones for me, honestly, and I know I've said this to you recently, Ben. I don't know if I said this on a microphone, but like I consider the Pixel's like launcher to be less customizable than iOS at the moment. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy how locked down Pixel. And I'm not talking about at a glance. I'm not talking about the search bar at the bottom. Actually, I like both of those. I've always liked both of those. I like that, you know, Samsung is giving the option to have a search bar on screen at all times, as opposed to having to add a widget to every page. Like it makes it sense, and how people use phones in 2026. Search is such a it's arguable. It's I'm probably, you know, I'd have to do the math on whether I use messaging apps more or less than searching, but it's those two. Those are the two biggest things I do on my phone. And but at the same time, it's like, okay, do you want to make your phone look like what you want to make it look like? On Pixel, here are your options. The default style, the material you like color selection, where everything is one color and the apps that don't match will get automatically like flipped and won't look great. They look okay, but they don't look as good.
Mhm.
Or Google's terrible, terrible AI icons. And like this is not like a like leftover from months and months ago. I forget when they launched those. I had a pretty bad react. I did not like them when they launched them. I tried them again on this Pixel 11. Still hate them. Still bad.
Yeah.
They have talk about things that have not improved that are AI. Like it's the exact same. Like I pointed out problems with the AI icons, regardless. Like even putting aside the fact that they're AI generated icons, like problems just with the like workflow of applying them, and that hasn't changed. So like
Yeah.
I think a large part of Google's issues can be broken down to like making this feel more like a device that can actually be what the person wants to be. You don't have to go like full Samsung 1,000 menus deep, but you can give a pro mode to users that allows them to enable some of that stuff while keeping the rest of the UI simple. And then also just kind of make it like or I guess don't don't leave those tools behind. Like be
Yeah.
a company that is constantly adding new things to the stuff you already did, in addition to trying to come up with do you know what it is? I thought of an allegory. It's Netflix. Google is the Netflix of smartphones, by which I mean they are obsessed with season ones. They are obsessed with the
Uh,
first season of a feature, in Google's case, as in Netflix's case, obviously a new show pitch where they come out with 8 episodes and they go, pretty good, right? It's like a long movie, and you go, yeah, it's okay. And then they're like, see you in 3 years for season 2, and then they come back in 2 years and 9 months for season 2, and they go, did you like it? And everybody goes, I don't even remember this show. I didn't watch I didn't watch season 2. And then it gets canceled. Now, obviously that's not one to one with Pixel, but it is very similar,
yeah.
at least on the season 1 level, where it's like Google really wants to roll out new features it can advertise on during a phone launch and through the next 12 months, and not so much do the work to get those things up from good idea, good concept, into can't live without it.
Yeah, no, and it's both on a hardware and a software level, because like that was the other thing that I talked about this after the launch was with Highlight, is just like it's the 5th big like hardware feature that Google has put on a on a Pixel that is a good idea in a lot of ways, but is so half baked that they never iterate on it enough to
Yeah.
where it just dies
Yeah.
because no
They
one
didn't do
knows what to
anything
do
with the
with it.
temperature sensor. Like,
Yeah,
what
the
did they do
temperature
with
sensor
that?
was the biggest thing. Was they
It was there for
released it?
3 generations. It never got like, other than the fact that once they got the approval they needed to add body temperature in the US, and
Nothing
maybe
else. Yeah.
that was it. And that was like 3 months after the Pixel 8 Pro's launch, and that
Yeah,
was all they ever added.
They launched the phone. Within 6 months, they added body temperature, and then I think
Which was not a
redesigned-
surprise addition. That
Yeah.
was something they announced and were
yeah.
like, it's coming later when we have the proper
Yeah,
like certification.
they redesigned the app at one point, and then that was it.
And now it's dead. It's gone.
You can say
They'll never touch it again.
Yeah, and you can say the same thing. You can go back to the Pixel 4 with Soli. Like, yeah, Face Unlock needed to die because of COVID, like just timing wise. But like
Yeah,
the
but that's not why they
gesture
killed it
support
though.
and
The
everything
Pixel 5 was
else.
already in on track to launch by the time COVID really,
Yeah.
that phone's only 6 months after like masks like explode. So like it's not. I see what you're saying, but
Yeah.
like it's one of those things where it's like, guys, like you do have good ideas. You need
Yeah.
to see them through.
Yeah.
And I think that will solve. I don't, man. I think that would genuinely solve a lot of Google's, like a lot of the roadblocks that are stopping Google from finding real success as an Apple and Samsung competitor. Because look, I honestly I think Samsung has been begging for the better part of a decade for someone to come in and eat their lunch. Like I really do think
Yeah.
that like they have, we talk about Google being unwilling to change, but like you go back to a Galaxy S21 Ultra and
Yeah.
tell me if that phone feels what 6 generations old now. Like it doesn't, and that's not true for Google. Like you go back to a
No.
Pixel 6, it's different. They've improved.
Yeah. No, and like
Yeah.
you can see the proof of that in Samsung too, because you can literally think of the Fold 8 right now. The Fold lineup basically did not change for 6 generations. They finally felt some pressure on the 7th and like redesigned the whole thing. And then they saw, oh, Apple's going to make one of these.
They
Let's
felt more
do the
pressure from
same
Apple.
thing
Yeah.
before they do.
Yep.
And now they have a smash hit on their hands. And it's literally
Yep.
just because Apple was doing that. I'm fully convinced of that just because they named the other one the Ultra. Because they're like, oh no, we were right.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's
Yeah.
still why I think they named it that way. Yeah, no, I agree. Google isn't such a good place to do this, and they just haven't, and it's very frustrating.
It's about committing. It's about committing, not just look. They have done a good job, I would say, committing and refining their hardware game over the past 6 generations, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Tensor notwithstanding, that's a different conversation for a different day. If you told me right now, my gut check, my gut feeling on Tensor is that it's probably a failure. Like I think it was a good idea at the time, but I certainly don't think it ended up cementing the Pixel as anything special, and in fact is mostly used as by detractors to
Yeah.
write off the phone, while not really performing. Like it's not outperforming any device on AI metrics that is powered by a Snapdragon Snapdragon 8
Snapdragon,
Elite
whatever the
Gen
current
5.
one is.
Nope, I got it. Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. It just took me 45 seconds for my brain to load. Yeah, it's like I don't know the raw metrics, and nor do I totally trust the benchmarks you would run on local AI models to figure out if Tensor G6 is running circles around Snapdragon on AI performance. Nor do I think it really matters because we're watching Google move local AI stuff off of being local anyway. Like most of this AI stuff is done in the cloud, so the how powerful the AI aspect of any given smartphone chip is doesn't matter at the state we're at right now. Both Snapdragon and Tensor is totally fine. But then Tensor comes with a bunch of downgrades at a price that is exactly the same as the Snapdragon phone. So my gut check on that would be at the moment that it's a bit of a failed idea until they figure out what they really want it to be. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't want Tensor to be bad, and I don't think it's bad. I just think it's a bit of a like, I don't know why we're doing this beyond Apple has done it. I don't know. I don't really understand what the vision it was with Tensor, and like it was barely talked about last week. So like they're not pitching it to users or tech people at all really as a like differentiator anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Any final thoughts on the vision of Pixel beyond the 11?
I think that there are so many different places they could go, and I really just hope that Google is okay. So I never got around to publishing this, but my takeaway from the event and just this launch as a whole was that I felt like Google's biggest downside was that they didn't go all in for the event. They didn't go all in on like the fun and the energy and the cringe, as you know, you guys were talking about, of that format.
Yeah.
And then with the phones, they didn't go all in on like on highlight. They have 2 features and that's it. They have nothing.
Can we talk about for a second how crazy it is to launch a feature tied to something on the hardware that can do two things, and one of
Yeah.
the two things is literally to light up when you're talking to. It doesn't add any like. I don't. It doesn't do
Yeah.
anything
No,
else when you're
it's
talking to Gemini. It's just a light indicator.
yeah,
It's
it's
like
crazy. But yeah, no,
crazy.
it's just it's a lot of basically every factor of this launch has just been they it feels like they're holding back, and part of that is out of their control because of the whole well, okay. Part of it is out of their control because of Ramageddon, but also they caused Ramageddon, so
Yes.
um I don't know. The future is like it's very bright in the fact that they're in a good position. Pixel's growing every year. But at the same time, they're just holding back.
Yeah.
And I hope that changes.
Man, me too. I really love your idea. Your battery idea is, I think, exactly what Google needs. And I know that sounds basic, of like, oh, just give it a bigger battery, but I think Google's vision is of the Pixel becoming some kind of ambient computing device, for
Yeah.
better or for worse. I don't know if it'll work, but I think that's what they want it to be. I think that's why one of the two features that Highlight supports is syncing with Gemini. I think they want this to be paired with your glasses and your watch and a smart ring and anything else that you have on you, and they want the phone to just be the brain of all of this stuff, which is a good idea. It's just a matter of building the phone to do it. So I think paying attention to the hardware constraints or requirements of what they want their vision to be, tied with this the season 2 Netflix problem with their software. I think those, if Google can solve those two problems, and they're not easy problems to solve, I think maybe
No.
the battery one, but the software thing, I mean, it's tricky. I'm not trying to make it sound easy to like maintain the 5 or 6 features they're launching a year. It is a manpower problem. It's a how much of a workload can one company have at one time? But I do think that's kind of the future of this lineup. Um, let's awkwardly pivot to a conversation completely unrelated to Google, or I suppose not completely, but
It's a little bit
certainly
related.
it's unrelated to Pixel, probably. Which is you and I were talking about AI posters maybe a week or so ago. The maybe even more so like AI advertisements, AI
Mhm.
banner, posters and stuff like that. Um, and you had some strong feelings. So I'm gonna start by giving you the floor, and then we will talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah, and I honestly I wanna have a bigger conversation about this at some point, but, genuinely, I'm so sick of AI posters across the internet. That's like the main
Yeah.
place I've been seeing it, but it's in everything now. And I feel like it's the worst kind of AI. The reason I was thinking about it around the Pixel 11 is like there are things on the Pixel and most of the things on Pixel, frankly, that feel like they are a good use of AI. Like, we'll hold impressions for later, but like one of Google's new features on the watch is create a watch face, and you just describe it and it spits out a watch face. And at least the demos I saw in New York worked great. It's a good idea. It's a good use of generative AI. I keep scrolling across the internet as many know, with disc golf. People make posters for it. And every poster looks the same because everyone's using ChatGPT to do it. And
Right.
they look like crap because they're trained on the internet, which is full of posters that look like crap. um, I'm so sick of it, and I don't know how we solve this problem. Is basically just what is on
Yeah.
my mind right now.
Yeah. I genuinely I think I have a lot of strong feelings about this that are mostly related around advertising, I guess, just because I know it was a viral trend 2 or 3 weeks ago, probably, to talk about, maybe even a month ago at this point, to talk about those like AI menu images, right? Like you go to a restaurant, and like instead of like properly taking a photo of the food you're going to order, or not taking a photo of the food at
Yeah,
all, they're like, oh, can Chat GBT generate me a picture of a bloomin' onion, and then it
yeah,
ends up looking like it's alive in a
yeah.
way that
Did you
is yeah.
Did you I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head, but did you see there's this company where it's literally they're trying to make generative AI restaurants. Like basically you could make like a ghost kitchen.
I didn't see this. This is a terrible idea.
It's so bad. It generates all of the
Ghost
imagery.
kitchens were bad
It's
and like
door
have
yeah.
mostly died, I
No,
think.
it's like it basically you would make a delivery restaurant. It spits out all of the imagery, the branding
I see. I got
based
it.
on what you
So-
want through AI. The guy who's running it, I'll send you the link to the video I watched on it when we're done, so you can maybe put it in the notes or something.
Yeah.
But like the guy who is running it is the most out of touch person, and that's a high bar with AI.
Well, okay.
It's ridiculous.
This is one of those things, right, where, you know, there are two sides to AI, at least two sides to AI, where there's like there's like one side of, I guess it's the more positive, like, you know, industry focused pitch.
Make it useful to people.
We're yeah, with the personal assistant you've always wanted. We're just gonna make your life easier, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then what you actually end up with a lot of the times, and this is people who are already looking to take shortcuts wherever they can, who do not care about quality or the end customer, the end result. They look at the amount of AI tools out there and they go, awesome. I was already feeling pretty lazy with my whole ghost kitchen idea because that's not opening a real restaurant. It's trying to take a shortcut to opening a restaurant. I don't even have to think about what the restaurant's going to serve anymore. I can just, it's truly zero brain power. It's just type in some code and I print money, right? That's how it works, which is where a lot of this AI like slop comes from, is the idea of like, I type, I push button on keyboard, money come out.
Yep.
Like that's how it works, right? That's how AI works, right?
Yeah, no, it's such a weird divide. Like again, to bring it back to like the Pixel 11, like on the one hand, I'm looking at these phones, I'm looking at their new AI, the phones and the watches, I'm looking at their new AI features, and I'm like trying to figure out, you know, how is that useful to me? What is the good in this? And then right on the other side of that, you know, the next thing I open is I open up to go, you know, look for a tournament that I'm interested in, or just, you know, browse content about the thing I enjoy. And it's like, oh, you made that thumbnail with AI because it's the Chat GPT font. Oh, that poster looks like eye cancer. Like it's so bad.
They always look alive. It literally
And
always looks like whatever's in the image is going to start crawling around like bugs.
It's just why is that the thing that everyone has latched onto?
Because it's cheap and you don't have to put any effort into it. I agree with you. It's sad. It's to answer, you know, to kind of answer your question as to like, oh, how do we stop this, or how does this reverse? Like, truly, the only answer is to like definitively speak with your wallet when you can. Like, I don't like. I'm confounded by the use of AI in advertisements because it's usually pretty like. Obviously, there are examples of things where you're just never going to be able to tell, but for every one of those, there are 99 other things where, you know, whether it's, oh my god, any random ad on like a Pluto TV or a Tubi or any of those fast services, they are littered with AI ads, right? Up to and including like Kalshi aired like an AI ad during the Super Bowl, right? That was their stupid alien space one that looks like dog water. There's all these the nothing earbuds recently where they tried to completely hide the fact that they were just using like AI generated models, I suppose, and then putting
they knew they were going to get in trouble about it because they put disclosures on it, but they also made the disclosure impossible
I was going to say
to read.
They put disclosures on it by giving it a hex code that was adjacent to pure white, and then putting the text over a pure white background so that the text, well, technically visible, was essentially invisible.
That was. Yeah, I think that's probably what started this conversation for us, was that. Because even like the press renders, the press renders are fake human beings wearing earbuds that look photoshopped on. Like, What are we doing?
Well, and I mean, look,
It's basically what it comes down
if you
to.
want to know what I think of all of this, let's put it this way. When I was trying to think of companies that sell phones in the US, I didn't think of nothing. So it's like,
To be fair, they barely do.
they barely do. And to be honest with you, I feel pretty confident that their plan to release half a dozen smartphones next year is going to lead them down the path of OnePlus. But
Look, yeah, I know you disagree with me. I like nothing. I actually like using their phones.
I have not used one of their phones as a daily driver. I'm
Yeah.
not judging it based on the quality of the device. I'm judging it based on the quality of the company and the message being put out by the company.
The 4A Pro genuinely is like, it's in my top 5 for this year of phones I've used.
I believe it. This doesn't surprise
It's
me. The hardware itself, but then it's like,
but the
to
company
bring it full
behind it
circle,
is like, it's going downhill, and I don't like it.
You're going downhill, and also, why? If the product's good, why are you advertising it to me with AI?
Yeah.
Like, because genuinely, where I was kind of going with all this, it doesn't matter to me if your product is good or if your restaurant is good or if whatever you're selling, your dry cleaning company is good. If you are selling it to me using AI imagery, whether photos or videos, or even like PR copy, frankly, like website, if your website is just coded in like very clearly AI text, what you're telling me is you don't care about how you're going to treat me as the customer. You don't care about the product you're selling me, really. Not maybe you do, but not enough to like properly pitch it to me. It tells me that I'm going to have a bad time, right? Like one way or another, I'm going to regret this because you don't care about it. And so why should I give you money?
Yeah, because like it's one thing to, come up with, use AI in building tools for your marketing. Like it's one thing to build a template or whatever. It's another thing to do start to finish the whole thing like that. Again, not to go back to the CMF earbuds, like it's literally, they made fake people to put earbuds on and then put a disclosure on it because they knew people were going to hate that.
Right. A thing they did purely to match the style they themselves developed in their advertisements years ago, like throughout the last few years.
Which is unique and different.
Which is unique. And you've decided we don't actually want to pay for it. We just want to have that look we came up with that, I don't even know, somebody else. Who knows if the person who came up with that style is even at the company anymore, or is it somebody else who came in to replace them and looked at it and was like, I'm going to just, again, I have no idea what would happen behind the scenes at nothing. Like I am talking out of my ass. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But the problem is, and I guess the broader point is, when you use AI in your marketing, these are the conversations you're opening. Like these are the lines of thought that I start having about your product of like, you don't care anymore then, right? Like you just want to make money on the product. It doesn't matter how it's marketed. You don't care that much. You just want people to know about it, and you're going to spit it out with AI. I don't want to spend my money on that. And it's not some kind of Luddite thing. It's not some kind of self-righteous thing. It is genuinely that it tells me that you didn't care enough to go through the act of taking photos of models you hired yourselves wearing your product. Like, you don't care enough about your food, the food you're making, to take a photo of it to sell it to me. You just want me to order it, and who gives it? I've already paid money at that point, so you don't care if it's bad. That is what AI advertisements tell me, and posters and all of that tell me.
Yeah, yeah. Again, like I said, it's one thing to use it in small pieces of what you're doing, but if it's the whole thing, that's a problem. Especially if it's so. Again, because like it's. With the, coming back to the posters, it's so generic looking. It's not, you're not using it to build something that is you and is different. You're not using it to express your idea. Right. If you're using it in this capacity, you're kind of just using it generic.
It's a shortcut. It's just a shortcut. It's just a cheaper, shittier way to do it. Like that's all it is. And again, that all that tells me that is like, okay, then I don't think I want to use your business or your product or consume your food or whatever because you're telling me it's cheap. Whether you meant to or not, the message that I'm getting is that it's cheap.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been killing me lately.
Well, and you
Yeah.
particularly, because you go to a lot of disc golf events, right? And you have to walk by. I saw on the Buffalo subreddit this weekend, because the county fair is going on south of Buffalo, and like I saw people posting like having debates about like the amount of AI art that is being sold at the fairgrounds this year, right? Like, and I'm sure that's
Yeah.
true every county fair, every state fair in the country. I'm sure this is
Yeah.
true. Um, and what I would say is like the best way to shut that down is to not partake in it, right? Is to not buy it, is to take your money somewhere else and go 5 stands down, or for you, go to a different vendor, like that is at the same event, that is selling I mean like you guys, you and your partner like have original like artwork and original like merch that that people can buy, that you're spending time and money and effort
Mhm.
making. That's where I would say, if you feel frustrated about this, that's where you take your, and not just you, but anybody listening, like that's where you take your money.
Yeah, no, it's and again, it's like I'm of two I'm always of two minds with it, because it's like outside in 9 to 5, I've yet to find a way to make AI in the slightest useful to me. If anything, it always slows me down in
Yeah, I
doing.
I wish I
Yeah,
could say, a peek behind the curtain. We had a notebook. What is it called now? It's not a
the
Notebook LM
Notebook
anymore,
LM, the Gemini
but
notebook.
Gemini Notebook.
Yeah, just like to
We
help
we
put
had
all
one of
the thoughts
those for
together.
for us, that we put all of the like spec sheets for the Pixel 11 into or whatever, so that you could search it like internally.
Yeah,
As we
because
were writing all of these,
because
but
it's
even
isolated.
even that I had issues with. Even
Yeah,
that, there were a couple of times where it pulled up the
yeah,
wrong information and I had to catch it. And
yeah.
if I don't have the basis in the stuff, I can't catch it. Like, it was because of the way
And
Google rates
thankfully, we all have the basis in it.
exactly. But if you don't,
Yeah,
and if you go to, I don't know, a competitor to 9 to 5 Google who doesn't care as much, and I truly am not trying to subtweet anybody. I'm saying the multitude of tech websites out there that I am sure are just mostly AI
that have
written.
spawned from AI.
Yeah, exactly. Um, you end up with misinformation, or missing features or whatever, as opposed, or like, or just like straight up like copy, where you look at it and you're like, that's just rewriting the blog post, but it doesn't have the context that, like, because like some of the stuff Google was calling out in some of their posts of like features were not new features, but the Gemini notebook like application saw them in the announcement and said, I guess these are new features, right? Like stuff like that,
Yeah.
where it's like, no guys, that's not. And it's fine, but you have to be able to have that basis. And so I agree with you. Like, outside of very limited spaces like that, it's like it's tricky to figure out a way for this to actually work, because I don't know about you, Ben, but I find it absolutely exhausting to second guess AI constantly.
Oh, dude, no, that's why I have yet to find any use for it. I've told you before, like one of the things I have found it useful for is like converting ideas that I don't have the skills to do, nor the time to change it. Like one of the ways I've used it is like I've had the idea to make like uh icons for things I've done, like signs that I'm
Yeah.
printing out, where it's like, okay, I have the physical representation of this. I need to convert it into a digital one. And then I can use whatever Gemini spits out after, 7 iterations of working with it. I can then take that into Photoshop and use what I do know how to do to tweak it and adjust it to what I need it to be.
Yeah.
And it's like it again, I find it useful for that. Like the generative part can be useful and I think can be used in a good way. But when you're just saying, okay, I need a poster for this, or I need a menu for this, or I need a picture of this, and then you're just using that, I have trouble with that because it's like what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's so
What are we
generic.
doing?
It's so boring.
Ben, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That is as good a place as any, I could think, to leave it. um, Ben, obviously 9 to 5 Google. You have spent all day today writing takes. So if you seemed a little taked out on the podcast,
Yeah.
it is perhaps because you spent 6 hours today writing takes, and then I said, Ben, come record a podcast with me. I mean, we
That
had this
is
planned,
exactly
but
what
I
happened.
did kind of
No,
say, Ben,
no, we
come
didn't
record
have
a
it
podcast.
planned. That's exactly what
We had
happened.
to play. Hey, we had it planned. It was planned. It was planned. Um, Yeah, where can people first of all, I should say all of that stuff you've been writing should be on the site. If not already, then in the coming days as you're listening to this.
Yes, stay tuned for
hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Things that will be coming out in the next several days.
Keep an eye out. You'll be able to read lots and lots. But otherwise, where can people find you?
I'm on every social at Nexus Ben, and mostly on the site because that's what I spend my time doing.
That's it. That and disc golf.
Yes.
And yelling at me and Joe Maring in a group chat.
Yes.
Although I don't have you. Oh, and getting stuck in in the airports.
Oh my god, I'm so ready to not travel for a little while.
You sound so much like I did in 2024, and I find that really refreshing to know that it can break a person, because you are much more willing to travel. You are always more excited about travel than I am, and it's nice to know that even you can be broken down. I
think that's what happens when you have an entire year of travel.
That's
where
what
you have
in
one flight that doesn't get messed up somehow.
That was me in 2024.
Yeah, have I had a single trip that didn't have issues?
Maybe one way. maybe one of the legs of the trip.
I have not, because every trip this year has had at least one issue.
It's the thunderstorms, man. It's crazy. Awful.
Yeah, including the ones in March.
Yeah. Welcome to our new reality. Man. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
My fiance went to and from Nashville on a direct flight last week, and then came back over the weekend, and genuinely shocked, based on, especially because of your problems last week, that she had no delays. Because the whole time I was like, she's gonna get stuck at an airport for 6 hours like Ben. Gonna happen. Didn't happen. So yeah, if you're looking for Ben, you'll find him either on social media, on 9to5google.com, or in an airport.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
That does it for this week's Sideload. Thanks again to Ben for joining me. We will have him back on the show very, very soon. The best place to reach me is will@9to5mac.com. Send me all of your questions, concerns, and feedback there. As always, you can find, rate, and review us on the podcast platform of your choice, and share the show with a friend if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to 9to5 Google on YouTube, where you can find full video versions of every episode of the Sideload, plus all of the excellent work being done by Damien and Jordan. And they really crushed it during the Pixel 11 launch. So if you've not gone back and watched their hands-on impression videos with the Pixel 11 and the Pixel Watch 5, definitely go do that. Also, remember to check out 9to5 Google's flagship podcast, Pixelated, where Damien, Abner, and myself chat about the week's news through a Google and Pixel-friendly lens. Obviously, huge episodes last week. And also, you should definitely sign up for 9to5 Google Pro. Not only nets you a whole bunch of perks for $5 a month, but you also get a weekly bonus episode of Pixelated that I think has honestly been more fun than the main show. I'm really happy with it, even though we're only, I think, 4 or 5 bonus episodes in, but it's good. You want to be there. Next week marks the 1-year anniversary of this show, which is very cool. I am excited to announce that we're, I think, going back to every week, but to do so, I am going to have to tweak the format of the show just a little bit, mostly to make things easier on myself and my own workload as I, balance lots of elements in my life. So starting with this week's episode, you'll be seeing more of a rotating panel of 9to5 hosts appearing on the show. Ben today, Damien, we have to finally get Abner and Jordan on really everybody, including Mac people. I would love to get someone on to talk about the iPhone launch coming up. We will still be doing special guest heavy interviews, and the tone in changing topics of the show isn't changing, but this way I'm not fighting against the forces of summer tech event scheduling, which has been a nightmare. If you couldn't tell by the way Ben appeared in this episode, this season really does drain every member of the tech press. That is it for this week. We will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.